Good afternoon. Welcome to our Teaching Toolbox series. This one is on our AirSync, which is a new feature. And Dan is going to kind of walk us through the basics, okay, so that you can be at least dangerous with this new tool. Um, obviously with you all watching this later, if you have questions or need additional information, please make sure that you drop that within the thread, and then we'll make sure we have some follow-up through our customer support solutions team. All right, take it away, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Tara. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dan Sharpe. I'm the Senior PD Trainer at ViewSonic, and we're just going to talk about AirSync. But before we jump into it, I'm going to answer some questions that I get quite frequently to hopefully answer some of those. You don't have to put them in the chat. So the first question I get a lot of is, what is AirSync? What happened? Is it replacing VCast? What happened to VCast? VCast is still there, right? If you have a current board, VCast is still there. It's still being supported. ViewSonic made AirSync because, as you might know, we make a lot of our own software. We make our own manager tool for the panels and our hardware. We make the whiteboard software. But the casting program was not something we made. VCast was third party, and they're a great partner. We like having control over our software so that we can take feedback from you all and then implement it and change it. It's hard to do that when you don't own the software. So we decided to create AirSync, try to make a better casting tool. What AirSync is it's actually my ViewBoard display. So if you ever saw my ViewBoard display on your panel, it got upgraded to AirSync. Now I'm currently running my 52 series panel. All 52 series panels will get AirSync. All Generation 5 panels will get AirSync. But if you have a Gen 3 panel, unfortunately, because the technology has become so robust, we're unable to run AirSync on Gen 3. However, that's why we're continuing to support VCast. So you will still have casting options even on your Gen 3 panels. Eventually, AirSync will be ViewSonic's primary casting tool on all future boards, but currently all our boards will run either AirSync or VCast, or a couple models will have both. So let's go ahead and open up AirSync here, and we'll kind of get started and take a look at what you're seeing here. Essentially, the home page is just all the information you need in order to cast. First off, you'll notice at the top it says visit airsync.net. That's our website. That's where you can either download what we call the AirSync sender, or you can cast through the web. So one of the things, if you ever used VCast, and you've been to one of our trainings, you'll hear us say, if you want a VCast, you have to be on the same network as the board. Not with AirSync. AirSync allows for both what we call local and internet casting. It's actually a setting that can be configured. What that means is that if you have devices that are on the same network as the board, they can cast. And if you have devices that are not, maybe they're on the guest network, they can also still cast. Most of the devices in your organization, we recommend downloading the Sender app, which we're going to get into. However, if you have a guest who comes into your building and they want to cast, they don't need the app. You can just cast directly from the website. So I already have the Sender app installed here. I'm just going to get out my laptop and we'll just go over this really quick, kind of how this works. So we'll go ahead and open the Sender app. Now really quickly, Sender app is available for Windows, Mac OS, and iPad and Android as well. You'll see here, this is what the AirSync Sender program looks like. So you'll notice up top here, there's a spot for this display code and a spot for a one-time passcode. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the display code here. And something that's cool about the display code is the app will remember the boards you frequently connect to. So it's not like you have to type this in every time. So my computer actually remembered that I've typed this in before, but that code does refresh just for security, making sure no one can randomly connect. So I'm going to hit next, and you're going to notice that there's two choices here. There's a share, there is a receive option. We're just going to start with share, which is the projecting or the casting. Now, depending on the device you're using, you're going to get a similar screen here, especially if you're on Mac or Windows. And what you're going to notice here is that I can share my entire screen, a window, or extended desktop. That's what screen extension is. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here. And what you're going to see is that it has now started mirroring a laptop to the panel. Now, this window here, this is the AirSync window. You'll notice there's a few buttons on it. There's a pen tool, a pause button, and a stop button. The pause button is very helpful. Say I need to check an email really quick. I can hit the pause button, come over here, and you'll see here in just a second that I'm still opening and doing web pages, and it's paused. And then if I want to come back over and resume, I can hit that pause button again, and now it's resuming, and now I'm back to live casting and sharing. Now you're also going to notice down here at the bottom, there's this allow touchback button. What this does is if I turn this on, you'll notice I can't touch it. See, I have no touch. If I turn it on from my computer, now I have touch on the panel. So if I come here and I open up Google Chrome, I can make this bigger. If I want to, I have single finger touch and drag like this, and you can see it's pretty responsive, right? It runs pretty nicely. And the point of this is that if you have a MacBook or Windows, right, you can have touchback. Unfortunately, this does not work on iPad or Chromebook or Android, but I can use it like this. Another quick little benefit is if you ever use the My ViewBoard whiteboard, you actually get multi-touch input. So you can have more than 2 students up at the board writing or annotating when you're casting. Now, a couple quick things here. When you're casting like this, I'm just going to take you on a little virtual field trip so you can see some of these buttons a little better. Over here on the left, you'll see this down arrow button. If you click that, what it does is it opens up the casting information. So if I wanted to have another device join, say my iPad, I'm going to need that code. So I don't have to disconnect my primary device. All I have to do is come in here. We'll get AirSync again. I'm going to grab that display code. And that passcode. Same thing as before, my iPad's giving me that share and receive button. The only difference here is you'll see like on an iPad, it has this built-in screen broadcast button. All I have to do is hit start broadcast, and then it will start broadcasting my device up here. So now you'll see that I have my Surface on the left over here, and I have my iPad on the right. The thing that I like about the iPad casting is that it will fill the screen up and down, which is pretty neat. So if you have a tablet, it'll do that. Now, again, a little field trip here. We'll come closer. You're going to notice that below each screen, there's these little arrows that pop up. You can see them here. If I click those, you're going to see that there's some different controls. So for example, if I wanted to make the iPad the primary screen, I can hit that. And now the iPad is only taken over. I didn't disconnect my other device. If I minimize it, it'll just go back, and now I have both screens up here. I can control the volume, or if I want to disconnect this device, I can hit stop. Now we're back to single device casting. This process is the same. If you use the web version, if you go to airsync.net, it'll ask for that display code and then the security passcode at the bottom. The only difference is that if you're ever using the website to cast, there is no touchback option. You have to have the Sender app installed on your Windows device or your Mac device. All right, let's go back in here and we'll disconnect. So I'm going to do it via the Sender app. So I'm going to hit this stop button here, and you'll see that it disconnected me. Let's talk a little bit about some of the settings and what you can do with the app. So I'm going to come over here to the bottom left. You're going to see that there's a settings button. You're going to notice there's a list of options here. One of those being broadcast, because the software has the ability to broadcast or send out to devices. This has to be turned on, this sender devices. If that's turned off like that, you can't actually send the panel or send the board to another device, or what we call receive screen. So make sure that's turned on. This other AirSync devices, we're not going to have time to get into this today, but this is what we call a display group. So you can actually group multiple boards together, multiple AirSync panels together using that feature, up to 10 if you would like to, which is pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our iPad again here as an example. We're going to go to the AirSync app. We're going to receive the device. One of the nice features on AirSync is that there is a device list button. So it'll show you any devices for what we call quick connect, and that's a setting you can enable or disable on the software. Now, instead of sharing, we're going to choose the receive button. That's the bottom one. Now, before you can receive, you do have to enter your name. And then what you're going to notice is that, give it a second here, the board is now mirrored. So I can see what's up here. So if I touch or do something on the board, it happens or changes. So it's receiving what the screen's doing. However, a special button appeared. Field trip again. Bottom left, there's that down arrow, but it has a number 1 on it. If I click that, you'll see that there's a device list. These are the devices that are receiving the screen. Notice there's a limit of 10. But you'll also notice that there's this option called touchback. If I enable that, what it does is it turns touch on my device. So now if I get my iPad here, you'll notice that I can touch and control things via my iPad. So if I'm on the home screen, so you'll see there's a home screen of the ViewBoard. I can open up, say, like the My ViewBoard software. And now my iPad, I can use if I wanted to write or annotate like that. So the nice thing about this is that I could have my device, I'd be walking around the room. Students could be up here solving problems, doing work, and I'm able to monitor via my iPad and kind of jump in if I need to, or I can close it if I wanted to, go back to the home screen, those kinds of things. So that's what we mean by broadcast. Okay, the broadcast is sending it out. You don't have to enable touchback. It can just be to see what's on the screen. So for example, if you had a student who needed an accommodation, they needed to be able to see what was happening on the board up close, they could just quickly receive the screen. You just have to have the app installed on their device, okay? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this. We're gonna go back to our settings again. And this time I wanna show you a couple other options. So you're gonna notice that if I scroll down a little bit here in the settings, there's this option called allow screen sharing only with approval requests. So you might have noticed when I was casting, it just automatically popped up, boom. If that button's turned on, you actually have to physically press an accept button up at the screen. So if you don't want devices just automatically popping up, you can add that as a feature where someone has to physically approve that device, okay? We're gonna go down here. You're gonna see that there's this mirroring option, and take a look here in this list. This is interesting. We have AirPlay, Google Cast, Miracast. So even though you can use the AirSync app, if you don't wanna use it, if you just wanna use AirPlay, it has AirPlay built in. If you just wanna use Miracast, it has Miracast. If you wanna use Google Cast, it has Google Cast. All these by default are turned on, but you can disable them if you would like to. Notice AirPlay doesn't require a passcode. So if you're ever annoyed typing in that AirPlay passcode every time, you can turn that off, or you can turn it on for more security. So really quickly, same thing. I'm gonna grab my iPad here. If you've never used Apple devices, the icon on Apple devices is usually this double rectangle here, right? If you ever want to cast something. So I can do that. You'll notice that my device is here. The device names can be renamed in the settings. And we're just gonna connect here really quickly. So remember, I didn't have AirPlay passcode turned on, so it automatically accepted. And now you can see here that I'm just AirPlaying my device, and that's gonna switch. Cool thing about using your iPad is if you ever turn on your camera, we can get a nice view. You can kind of use your iPad as a camera there. All right. So that's the AirPlay protocol. And again, we can use Miracast or other settings as well. Let's come back over here and explore a couple other quick things. Connectivity. So remember when I opened up the session, I said you can use local or internet connection. By default, AirSync uses both. So you don't have to choose anything. It can automatically detect if you're on the same network or not, and then it chooses local or internet connection for you. That being said, if you don't want an internet connection or people to connect who are not on the same network, you can just switch it to a local connection only. And in fact, AirSync will tell you if it's set to local connection or internet connection only, okay? When both are on, it'll just look like this here. Now, let's talk a little bit about moderator mode. We'll go down here to the right. You'll see that there's this toggle for moderator mode. When you turn on moderator mode, you will notice that the mirroring option is disabled. What this is telling you is, hey, Dan, when moderator mode's on, can't use AirSync, can't use Mirrorcast, you can't use Google Cast. You can only use AirSync. So what is moderator mode? Grab my laptop here. I am going to cast to this device. So let me punch in this code again. I'm going to choose the share option. Now, remember the last time I clicked share, it just shared, right? It asked me what screen, but now it's asking me to type in my name because I have the moderator mode turned on. So I'm going to type in my name. I'm going to hit share. And what you're going to see is that my name pops up in the participant list. You can only have 6 people in what I call the waiting room. All right, so let's add another device. I'll grab my iPad here again. And we'll share, and same thing, it's asking me for my name. So I'll just type in my daughter's name, Lily. And now you'll notice that we're both sitting in the waiting room. So the benefit of this is that I could theoretically have people teed up, right? You be ready to share, you be ready to share, you be ready to share. And then all I have to do is come up to my board and say, okay, Dan's up first. And then Dan's screen, he can pick, share, and now that screen's sharing, right? I can come over here to my side tools and you'll see that there's my moderator mode. I can see that Dan is casting. Oops, sorry, a little blurry there. Now I can choose Lily, right? And now Lily can start her broadcast. And you'll see here I am now in split screen, right? I've got both screens running at the same time. And so moderator mode, like I said, is like your waiting room. You can essentially have multiple people waiting, and then you can just pick them. Or when you're done, you can come back to that list and stop them. Then you're back on here just like this, okay? So that's basically AirSync. It has a lot of the same things that VCast has, but a few extra. We'd love your feedback, right? Like I said, the reason we developed AirSync is because 1, we want to build the best casting tool possible. But 2, we wanted to be able to make changes based on feedback from you all. So let us know when you watch this webinar, whether you're watching it on YouTube or you're watching it on community, put in the comments. What do you like? What do you not like? What features do you want? We want to hear from you. Another thing, if you are getting AirSync and you're like, we're all trained on VCast, but we don't know anything about AirSync, remember, the professional development team is here. If you've been with us before, we have great on-site sessions. Our team is amazing. We are all teachers. We get it. We've been in the classroom. Technology needs to be simple. We have a very simple way of talking and communicating about that. You can always check out our professional development page. That is also on community, and you can contact us and we can schedule something on-site or virtual. We also have our YouTube channel, and we've added videos for all the AirSync setup. So you can go through all these steps via video. So if you like that, go to our YouTube channel and you'll have access to that as well. So thank you everybody so much for joining today. We hope you enjoy AirSync. Again, give us your feedback. And yeah, we look forward to having you to one of our next webinars, which I'm sure Tara will talk about right now. And Tara, you're muted. Sorry to do that on the recording. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the information around AirSync. And just to reiterate what Dan said, please, please, please drop your comments, feedback into this thread within the community. Also, within a few days, week or so, it will be posted on our YouTube channel as well. So you will have access to the recording, but your feedback is important to us. We will have another Teaching Toolbox Thursday in 2 weeks. It will be posted probably as soon as tomorrow. So check out the community remember, when you join the community, it does give you access to getting notifications around whenever there is another webinar. So thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in our next Teaching Toolbox Thursday. Bye. Thank you. Thank
Bye,
you,
y'all.
Ian.